Matt and I were texting about this last night when we were watching the game, or not together, but we were watching it at the same time.
Mm.
And I think a couple lessons can be learned from that game. I think the first main lesson is that the Cardinals are not ready. I mean, they're not. They had a good year. They started out really good,
Yeah.
kind of sizzle off a little bit. You know what the Cardinals are like to me, Matt? They're
What's up?
kind of like the Steelers from last year. Because remember when the Steelers started off like 10-0, but then people
Yeah.
were kind of thinking that they weren't really real, that they weren't really a legit team. The
Mm.
Cardinals started what, 7-0, 8-0?
Yeah.
I think they started 7-0 before they lost to Green Bay.
Yeah.
And then they fizzled out. They're just not there yet. They're not trash. I mean, Kyler Murray's great, and they got some weapons on that team. They're not ready yet.
Yeah.
But the Rams, they look like they're here to stay for at least the very near future. So when you watched that game last night, I don't know about you, I was I was just in love with the way the Rams were running the ball down the field. Cam Akers didn't look like he had an Achilles injury 6 months ago. Stafford was an effective game manager, threw a lot of great passes. What was the biggest lesson that you learned from that Rams game last night?
I've been seeing it all season, but I think obviously when it's playoff time, you can see a completely different team. And I think that last was it last night? Um, that they and it's crazy because I don't even know if that was even their threshold, but they looked dominant. And when I mean dominant, they looked dominant on offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, me being a Lions fan, seeing Stafford get his first playoff win was good to
Huge,
see, and he deserves it.
huge.
And and like I always said, even when he first got to the Rams, Stafford has always been a good quarterback. I think what made him look bad was being with the Lions and their system and all that. The Lions are cursed. If you don't believe it, you're crazy. But to see him fulfill his dream, and I mean, obviously he's just getting started. That whole team is just getting started. Um, but they play with ease. They play like they've been there before. On both sides of the ball. Um, Aaron Donald was being Aaron Donald. It was at times where it was getting a little bit chippy between the you know what I'm saying, the offensive line, defensive line. Uh cause obviously I'm not a fan of both of those teams, but when the announcers were talking, they're saying that that's like a rivalry. And so that chippiness started getting, especially knowing what's on the line. You know, obviously it heightens what you playing for, but um, yeah, everybody just seemed instinct. Von Miller uh, was
He was a
carrying his
monster
weight.
last night.
Jalen Ramsey carrying his weight. Um, and shout out to former. I'm a blank out. I just had it and I lost it. Former Michigan Wolverine. Uh, I think when he first got to the Rams, he was special teams, and obviously he worked his way up to playing in the secondary. Um,
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Hold on, I'm looking up his name right now. It was something Long.
yeah,
David Long.
David Long
David Long.
Jr. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, David Long.
my man. I that dude, and it's crazy because um, first off, he's 23, like me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's only, I think when I looked at him, he's only like 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, so I mean,
Um,
he's not much taller than us.
and the announcer said that that pick that he had when the Cardinals was on the 5 yard line,
Terrible pass.
they said that that was the shortest pick six in playoff history. Um, so I
This is a
think
good heads up play.
yeah. So I mean, like that whole defensive of squad was, everything was clicking for him. Um, and I think that they they'll match up good against the Bucks. I know that's gonna probably be your next question, but the one thing that kind of you should never doubt the GOAT, Tom Brady. But
At your own peril.
but he is, well, I don't know about this week, but as of last week, he was missing a lot of key wide receivers. And seeing that Rams secondary, they was locking down a lot of, what I'm saying, a lot of people. Then up front, it's a whole nother story.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's gonna be real interesting. How about you?
I think the Bucks are going to win. I think the Rams are a very good team, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they are going to be contenders at least for the next couple of years
Yeah.
with their current core in place. But as long as Brady has Mike Evans and Gronk to work with,
Mm.
and a couple feisty running backs in the backfield, I think they're going to beat the Rams. I'm not sure about the Packers. I don't see them losing to the Packers twice or 2 years in a row, but I think they'll because the Rams destroyed them in week 3.
Yeah.
Rams beat them by over a touchdown in that game. I think it was like 34-24.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're not going to beat Brady twice in the same year. I just don't think you do. So I think the Bucks are going to win that game. Although I do think it's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. It's not going to be by any means a blowout. I mean, it's going to be in pretty warm weather.
Yeah.
Weather that the Rams are used to playing in. So I think I think the Bucks will win that game. But I mean, it's like I said, Packers are a different story. I think the Packers are built to win this year, and they'll end up beating the Bucks. But for Bucks Rams, I got the Bucks.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. It's I think it's gonna be real interesting. I can we both agree that the Rams has the better defense?
Then the Bucks,
Yeah.
yeah. For playoff defense, yes, because the Bucks they were probably pretty even statistically
Yeah.
in the regular season, but in the playoffs, give me Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Jalen Ramsey over almost every other defense
Yeah.
because they'll likely make plays in big spots. It's
Yeah.
not like the Bucks don't have stars on that defense, but I think the Rams right now are just playing at their defense at least is probably playing at a little bit of a higher level than Tampa's is, but
That's true.
that's up for debate.
Yeah, so let me ask you, it's kind of reaching into the future, but if the Rams beat the Bucks, do you think that they have a higher or lower chance of beating the Packers if the Packers win?
That's a good question. I think no matter who the Packers play, I think they're gonna win against the Bucks or the Rams regardless. But I do think that the Rams could potentially give them more problems than the Bucks
Yeah.
because the Packers are their defense is pretty good
Mm-hmm.
in Green Bay, but it's like I said before. The thing about the Rams is that who on that offensive line? I mean, they're still working in David Bakhtiari
Yeah.
back from injured reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Who on that team, if anybody, is equipped to stop Aaron Donald and Von Miller and that pass rush? So I I think it's pretty close. I think both teams would have a decent shot at beating Green Bay, but regardless, go Pack, go. I, I hate saying that, but I think Green Bay is going to play Buffalo in the big game. That was my preseason prediction, and
Oh
I'm
yeah, it
not
was. It was. It
I'm
was.
not
It
I'm
was.
not I'm not I'm not letting that go.
I know for a fact. I can't remember exactly, but I know I had the Chiefs get going back. But like this year, and especially where we're at now, it's because, and I guess, like, I understand where you're coming from the Packers, but I look at it as seeing them get in, like they're in the same spot every single year, and they get showed out by somebody.
That's true.
And I like similar to what we kind of talking about, like the Cowboys situation. But I feel like obviously that like the Packers are obviously better than the Cowboys as far
Mm-hmm.
as regular season and then advancing in the playoffs. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like when they get there, they just I don't know. I just feel like the team that plays them plays like they're more hungry than them, and it shows out on the scoreboard. So I mean that's why seeing because realistically we can all agree that the 49ers are going to be the underdog against the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I saw a line this morning. It was -6 for the Packers, which sounds about right. I mean,
yeah,
because San Francisco is a good team, but I mean, it's in Lambeau.
yeah. So I mean, it's. I think that game is also going to be close. I think too. Right now, the 49ers are riding on that high and all that adrenaline and excitement of winning. Um, and I just look at it as the Ram. I'm going back to the Rams. If the Rams ended if the Rams beat the Bucks and let's say the Packers beat the 49ers, I think the Rams have a better shot of beating the Packers due to a better all around team.
Okay,
So that,
but would you feel comfortable picking Stafford over Aaron Rodgers? That would be
I mean
so.
now,
Oh,
with the Rams, yes, because one, he's in a better system, and two, he has more weapons to throw to. Plus, Stafford doesn't even have to have the game of his life because I'm confident in that Rams defense that they can
yeah,
go out and stop. Because we're at the end of the day, obviously, um, Devontae Adams is gonna be that guy to go up and get balls.
oh, he's so good.
Um, but if they find a way, cause again, if that is the matchup, we already know who gonna be playing against them. It's gonna be Jalen Ramsey, and that's gonna be a
That's good. That could be a battle. That could be a battle.
you know what I'm saying. So honestly, if that was the NFC Championship, I wouldn't mind that. That'd be a
No,
that.
that would be good. I would be so to revise my original answer. I would be more scared of going up against Tampa because
Really.
it's at some point it all comes down to the quarterback, and I would be if I were
Yeah.
the Packers, I would be more scared to take on Tom Brady than I would Matthew Stafford. No disrespect to Stafford, but
Yeah.
Brady is the GOAT. Even at
Yeah.
44,
Yeah.
he is the GOAT, and he's playing well, and he'll have a. I mean, he'll have a shot for sure.
Mistake me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it last year?
And also, not to do this for a second, but
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is probably going to win the MVP,
Yeah.
and Tom Brady is Michael Jordan-esque in the sense that he comes up with things as motivation
That's true.
because he's so damn competitive.
Yeah.
If Rodgers wins the MVP over Brady, you best believe he's going to come in hot.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Of
Like,
course. Of
I'm
course.
not MVP, fine. It's like the Karl Malone effect in '97 when he won the MVP over Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordan was like, okay,
Yeah.
beat the Jazz in 6 games. But continue.
No, I was no, that is a good point, and I agree with you too. That man Tom Brady is a, and
He's a monster.
I don't understand people. Hopefully, it's gone up, but at this point, I think what I've been like Brady before the Patriots Falcons game, but my thing is to come back in the way that he did in the biggest stage in sports. How does that not solidify him being the GOAT? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see you do that in a regular season game. It still has like that wow factor, but in the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
I don't. But that's besides the point.
Well, I no, I and you're right. I mean, and here's the thing that comes down to it. And we're just talking football goats, right? Like
Yeah,
not
yeah,
sports goat.
yeah.
So I'm gonna simplify it even more than that. Brady has won 7 Super Bowls
True.
being a starting quarterback.
True.
Most important position in football.
Mm-hmm.
He's the GOAT.
He
He
is.
may not be as athletic as Jerry Rice or Jim Brown, Lawrence
Mm.
Taylor, Reggie White, but there is not a single soul I would want more on that football field if I had to drive down the field than Tom Brady. As Skip
Consistency.
Bayless says, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady.
And
But I'm also contradicting myself though because I'm picking Green Bay regardless.
yeah, you are sick for that.
So I'm risking that at my own peril. But I mean Brady could stop playing football right now and he would be the GOAT by a pretty decent margin.
Yeah. I think that's what like, and that's why, especially now, I'm having such a hard time on pinpointing who's gonna go to the Super Bowl from the NFC, because I feel like there's like, now that obviously we're in round two of things can go left and right in a matter of a quarter. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why it's like, yeah, we can get up here and talk predictions and all that, but it's like these teams now are so, they're getting to the point where they're so evenly matched that anything can happen. Now, I'm still confident in the Chiefs going, because I think for that AFC Championship, give me Chiefs and Bills.
Yeah.
Why? They're the most two dominant in their regions, and not a question. I mean, obviously, we'll probably get to that later on, but like in another episode. But I just think if I'm looking at the whole team, the Chiefs, they're in the beginning of the season, their defense was getting made fun of,
And now
and
they're
then
good.
come like mid season, they must have heard the chatter, and they turned up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't. It's like, in the sports world, I feel like a lot of people are so quick to judge off of one game, one performance. These boys been to the Super Bowl back to back twice.
Yeah, that's true. But
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean, we'll and we'll talk about the Super Bowl more as it comes down to it.
Yeah.
But yeah,